Let us all welcome on stage the CEO of Human Managed, Miss Karen Kim.
You're walking down a street in Makati and you see a very familiar sign, Jollibee. But it's not Jollibee smiling and welcoming you. Instead, it's Ronald McDonald. And in front of the entrance, you see a green car. It's empty and its doors are wide open. What's going on here? You've never seen the scene before, but something is telling you that something's off. Why is this? It's because your brain is primed. Priming is what happens when you take fragments of your memory, experience, and knowledge, combine them together to make judgment about a new situation. And this is what human intelligence is all about, and it's what makes us so powerful. Human intelligence. It's made up of many different parts. And just to name a few, we have sensory intelligence that actually takes signals from the world around you using your 5 senses. Your spatial intelligence that makes the relationships and models of objects in a space. And you get emotional intelligence that gives you that gut feeling and gives you the ability to judge something in an instant. And reflective intelligence allows you to take a step back and take a situation and evaluate, does this feel right? Now, humans are very powerful, but there is a limitation to this. Because one person could look at the Jollibee environment and find and sense danger, but another person could find it quite amusing and actually run towards a sign. So human intuition is fast, but biased. Machines, on the other hand, are very different. They operate entirely differently. They do not get tired. They don't get distracted. They don't sleep. They can process billions of events per second, but they do not prime on their own. They would have seen Jollibee, they would have seen the car, the lights, and they would have observed it. But they wouldn't put the entire situation together and deem it as suspicious. This is because machines are consistent but blind. And in the world of cybersecurity today, we are suffering from noise, fatigue, and inconsistency. And humans and machines alone are just not enough to deal with the challenges of cybersecurity today. At Human Managed, we believe that modern security operations is not going to be successful without machines being primed for outcomes. But how exactly do we do this when we know that machines do not prime on their own? We have modularized the entire process of security operations, or SecOps in short, into modular intelligent blocks. We call them discover, detect, triage, react, resolve, and profile. And just like the human brain, these intelligent blocks are modular in design, and they are primed for very particular outcomes. They work in parallel, they do their own jobs, and they are all primed towards to understand a particular set of signals. And no, this is not a coincidence that this diagram looks like the human brain. So I'm gonna walk you through each and every one of these, the blocks that you see, and how we designed it for priming for outcomes for SecOps. So just like how human intelligence has multiple different intelligences working in parallel, we have designed machines that are imitating the human intelligence models. First up, we have Discover model. Discover model is specialized in linguistic and spatial intelligence. Why linguistic is because it has to observe and understand all the different data feeds that affect your environment, such as logs, intel feed, posture data. And why is it spatial? Because it has to map out the digital assets in your environment, its relationship to each other, and make a mental model of your digital environment. This step is incredibly important because the outcome that it's trying to prime for is external context. And the result that it brings is enrichment for detection and events that occurs in your environment. Next up, we have the detect model. Detect model is specialized in numeric and sensory intelligence. Numeric because it has to deal with sheer amount of volume of data, and it has to calculate the patterns in the alerts, the indicators from telemetry data. And sensory because it has to detect what is the shift from the baseline. What is the drift? It's not a catch and pass. It's not a simple alert generation we're talking about here. It has to understand what the baseline is, compare it to what your discovered environment is, and then finally create a detection. Profile model. This one is actually quite overlooked when it comes to security operations and enterprises, but it's an incredibly crucial one, especially in the age of data and AI. What do we mean by profile? Profile is mapping out the digital living profile of your assets, their posture, and their expected behavior over time. This is a continuous cycle that you always have to manage. And we call this an emotional as well as reflective intelligence. The reason why I say emotional is not like the human side of emotional part. It's because you have to make a judgment about the confidence level, how trustworthy an asset is, and how important an event that occurs is. So that requires some sort of emotional judgment. And why it's reflective, it's because we have to create a different type of scoring so that the business can quantify when an event or signal happens. Is it based on the expected profile output or not? So this model not only tells you what happened in your environment, but who or what is involved in the situation and how much should you care about it. Next up, we have the triage model. This is specialized in numeric and reflective intelligence. Numeric because it has to find the different patterns from different sources like alert history, false positive, as well as severity metrics. Reflective because it has to compare the events that you're seeing to what you're expecting. What is the expected context and state? And should you be prioritizing this? Does this require escalation? So it actually requires you to look at compare the expected input as well as expected output. And what comes out of this is prioritization and noise reduction. It is primed so that humans and machines can focus on what really matters. React. React model is finally getting into action. After you have triaged something, you have to look at what the team has to act upon. And in the traditional sense, you would be familiar with playbooks and runbooks that your cybersecurity team runs. But when it comes to React models, you can design it to be numeric and reflective in intelligence. What we mean by that is you can calculate some very important metrics by learning about false positive history, what is the different policies and configurations that you have in your environment, and then you finally compare that to the existing playbooks. Why is it reflective? It's because you then have to take the context of your SLAs, how quickly do you need to respond? When was triage occurring? So all of these combinations of calculation has to be combined before you arrive at the options for actions. So this actually allows your team to prepare different choices of what is the next best step with confidence. Finally, we have Resolve. And Resolve is specialized in emotional and reflective intelligence. Emotional because it has to evaluate and calculate the different types of scores, such as confidence, trust in different types of incidents, and it has to make a very smart decision about who to escalate to. What is the affinity or match rate between an incident to an available responder? So all of these are something that the model can be tuned for and also be more reflective about. So when you take a step back, you can see that autonomous SecOps is not about creating one giant solution. It's actually about creating very specialized models, each primed for its specific input, process, and output. Discovery for context, detect for signals, profile for judgment, triage for priority, react for options, and resolve for confidence. And when machine and human intelligence come together, that is when autonomous SecOps can be achieved. And at Human Managed, we are not only building it, but we are running it today. Thank you very much.